Episode 56 XE, August 19, 2024. The UK Drax tax is an affront to reason and nature. In Episode 56 XE1 United Kingdom, the Drax tax is an affront to reason and nature. 2 United Kingdom Cambridge and New Forest. The little-known barbecue rule that could end with a £5,000 fine this summer. 1 United Kingdom. The Drax tax is an affront to reason and nature. This green, wood-burning company is Britain's top carbon emitter. So why does it get £500 million a year in public subsidy? RAWSEP View of the key excerpt from this article that it is a pretense that Drax's wood-burning is CO2 neutral at the point of combustion. The point that this article makes is that Drax has money because it receives gigantic subsidies from the United Kingdom government, although wood-burning, according to a recent report, Drax's wood-burning plant emits 4 times the CO2 as the CO2 emitted at Drax's previous incarnation as a coal-burning plant. Another key excerpt from this article states that Drax's gigantic gratuities are appropriated from us on the preposterous basis that while the wood-burning produces even more CO2 per unit of energy than the coal Drax formerly used in its power station, those emissions don't exist on the nation's carbon balance sheet. The author of this article details conversations between Drax and the previous UK Conservative government. The author of this article implies that kowtowing to Drax will continue under the Labour government. RAWSEP View is that it remains to be seen if the new Labour government will continue to allow Drax to be Britain's top polluter, with subsidies adding injury to injury along with insulting people's intelligence by justifying it with the scientifically debunked theory of carbon neutrality of wood burning. The truth is that wood burning emits 2.8 times the CO2 and PM2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning when tested on the cleanest burning indoor residential wood stove in the United Kingdom, the EcoDesign wood burning stove. And according to a new research report, wood burning in a Drax power plant emits 4 times the CO2 as coal burning in the same Drax power plant when it was used for coal burning a few years ago. By an international convention, wood burning emissions from power plants from all countries of the world can be ignored on paper while existing in reality and bringing us health, denying pollution and hastening climate change. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission Particulates, a 501c3 non-profit organization. Sunday, August 18, 2024. The Sunday Times. In July 2024, Drax, with booming profits, increased its dividend by 13% and announced a plan to buy back £300 million of its own shares, while receiving about £550 million a year in public subsidies. These gigantic gratuities are appropriated from us on the preposterous basis that while the wood burning produces even more CO2 per unit of energy than the coal Drax formerly used in its power station, those emissions don't exist on the nation's carbon balance sheet because the trees are renewable. 10 days ago, the energy think tank Ember produced a review of what it terms the UK's largest emitters, which concluded that not only was the Yorkshire-based Drax far and away the UK's biggest single contributor, but it actually produced 4 times as much carbon emissions as the country's last remaining coal-fired power station. But Drax had little to fear from this report, as a spokesman for the Labour government immediately stepped in to insist that Ember's report fundamentally misrepresents how emissions from biomass are measured. It is not only eco-warriors across the Atlantic and Canada who regard the carbon accounting of Drax and the British government as a scam. The Chatham House think tank, funded by the Foreign Office, produced a report stating that it takes about 100 years for a mature tree to absorb the amount of CO2 released by one being burnt in a power station. So if we are already in a climate emergency, as insisted by the Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero, this payback would come long after we have all been doomed. The present scheme of public subsidies to Drax is to end in 2027, but the company is seeking an extension on the promise that it will make its wood-burning carbon negative by burying the emissions under the North Sea in exhausted oil and gas fields, and will somehow make this operational by 2030. This form of BCCS carbon capture would require tens of billions of pounds in further support from taxpayers. Drax's chief executive had, in meetings with the Conservative government, been demanding continued subsidies for its unabated wood burning between 2027 and 2030. Continuation of the pretense that Drax's wood burning is CO2 neutral at the point of combustion is vital to Labour's mission to make improbable all our electricity carbon-free by 2030. Drax has threatened to close the plant if it doesn't get an extension of the multi-billion subsidies from 2027. RAWSEP View, the author of the article, notes a contrast of the United Kingdom with the Netherlands. From the article, the Netherlands has kowtowed on to the absurdity of the idea of net zero imported wood burning. This year, its parliament passed a motion that strongly discourages the import of woody biomass, and the new Dutch government stated last month that subsidizing BCCS, biomass energy carbon capture and storage, and biomass plants will be stopped as soon as possible. 2 United Kingdom Cambridge and New Forest. The little-known barbecue rule that could end with a £5,000 fine this summer. Cambridge News: avoid burning materials that produce excessive smoke, such as damp wood or inappropriate fire starters. RAWSEP View: the key excerpt in the article below is avoid burning materials that produce excessive smoke, such as damp wood. RAWSEP View: avoid burning wood at all, since wood burning emits 450 times the PM2.5 as natural gas burning, and wood burning emits 2.8 times the CO2 and PM2.5 as coal burning. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission Particulates, a 501c3 non-profit organization. August 18, 2024. 3 mistakes that could land you in trouble. Creating excessive smoke that bothers neighbors or the general public can lead to serious consequences. Such actions can be deemed a statutory nuisance under the Environmental Protection Act 1990. This can result in a formal complaint to the local council, leading to a fine of up to £5,000. Avoid burning materials that produce excessive smoke, such as damp wood or inappropriate fire starters. Mishandling the disposal of barbecue remnants, including ashes and coals, is another significant mistake, often due to disposing of them before they have completely cooled down. This not only presents a fire hazard, but it's also illegal. In parks where disposable BBQs are permitted, you will need to clean up after yourself before you leave, including any food waste, disposable utensils, and the disposable barbecue itself. Failing to do so is considered littering and can lead to a fine of up to £2,500 or a fixed penalty notice, which is determined by the local authority. If the penalty isn't specified, you might face a standard fine of £75. Different types of grill may be restricted in various areas. Parks and public spaces may impose rules like this due to the risk of uncontrollable fire spread. Disposable barbecues are often banned in many parks and public spaces because they pose a higher fire risk and can damage the grass or ground. For example, the New Forest National Park has clear regulations against the use of disposable barbecues. Instead, opt for portable raised barbecues that don't come into direct contact with the ground. Failure to comply with these regulations can lead to fines and being asked to leave the area.